Blake Lively called out by Megyn Kelly at the Time 100 Gala. Why was Megyn Kelly there? I don't know. Time 100's most culture war pundit. I don't know. Either way, hey, she gets it right here. She's on the red carpet.
To the Time 100 Gala. Please welcome the anchor of ABC Nightly News, Time 100.
Blake Lively was honored. Or named as Time 100s, and Megyn Kelly slams it and calls it a ridiculous joke.
Hello. Hey, congratulations on your honor.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, their united front on the red carpet, as Blake alludes to her legal drama with Justin Baldoni.
I have so much to say about the last 2 years of my life.
So who are you most looking forward to seeing tonight?
Well, I'm definitely hoping for some sort of a selfie in the distance with both Blake Lively and Meghan Markle, since they provided me with so many hours of content.
Blake never mentions Justin by name, but in a 6-minute speech, the actress talked about the power of sharing survivor stories, revealing her own mother endured a frightening assault.
There's a lot of controversy right now with Blake being on the Time 100 list.
It's a ridiculous joke. She shouldn't be there. She has no influence over anything.
She is a survivor of the worst crime someone can commit against a woman. My mom never got justice from her work acquaintance who attempted to take her life when she was the mother of 3 young kids years before I was born.
Now, I don't disagree with Megyn Kelly, but she comes off so hateful. You know what I mean? They're giving me so much to talk about. She comes off so hateful.
Right. I mean, what do you think of when you read headlines like every day about her and Justin?
I mean, I think she launched a fake Me Too allegation against him, and she's lived to regret doing it because virtually every allegation she has made has fallen apart.
It's not for us to have shame. It's for them. Never underestimate a woman's ability to endure pain.
And so for her to be honored for doing that, to try to ruin a man over absolutely nothing, is a scandal.
Yeah.
And obviously they're looking for big stars to come here and generate pages on their magazines, but that was very wrong.
Where was this speech 2 years ago?
The internet kicked in, calling the speech a too little too late PR strategy, and bringing up Blake's It Ends With Us press tour.
Are you going to be avoiding her inside because she's expected to be here with Ryan?
I have a feeling she's going to be avoiding me. I won't be avoiding anybody.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Grab your friends, wear your florals.
She took that time to talk about florals and girlfriends and booze and clothing.
Who did you bring with you? I heard you brought a party bus. I have a whole party bus.
Contrast that with Justin, who focused more on the issue of domestic violence.
It was supposed to be Blake Lively's big night, draped in emerald silk, flashing that signature smile, gliding past the cameras like Hollywood royalty. But trust me, if you listened closely, the buzz wasn't about the gowns or the guest list. It was the whispers, getting louder than the click of 1,000 cameras. Just hours before Blake hit the carpet, Megyn Kelly dropped a bombshell right there on the red carpet, calling Blake's Time 100 honor a ridiculous joke. No sugarcoating, no polite diplomacy. Kelly accused Blake of weaponizing fake harassment claims against Justin Baldoni and slammed the entire event as nothing more than an overpriced PR circus. By morning, the internet had exploded. Half the world was cheering Kelly for saying what no one dared, while the other half slammed her as a red carpet wrecking ball. Meanwhile, Blake, frozen mid-smile, found herself trapped in a storm she couldn't outcharm. And the worst part, that glittering red carpet moment, it was just the start of her real nightmare. If you thought Megyn Kelly was going to play nice, you haven't been paying attention. Still gripping her press badge like a front row ticket to chaos, she didn't even wait for the champagne to chill before she lit the match.
And what do you think of her new movie, Another Simple Favor? People are saying she's feuding with Anna. Do you believe that? Or?
I couldn't care less, but I do care when people bastardize Me Too allegations against, people who don't deserve it.
Right there, in full view of stunned reporters and PR handlers scrambling to save face, Kelly dropped a verbal grenade. Blake Lively, she said flatly, has no influence over anything. And it didn't stop there. In one brutal breath, she accused Blake of trying to ruin a man over absolutely nothing, ripping apart the feel-good narrative the gala was so desperate to sell. Within minutes, the clip exploded across TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Kelly's icy deadpan turned into memes, her stone-faced delivery, instantly remixed into fan edits, set to dramatic music like a gladiator entering battle. Team Megyn began trending by midnight, with users calling her the truth teller Hollywood didn't want but desperately needed. Meanwhile, Blake's defenders fought back with hashtags of their own, branding Kelly as rage bait incarnate and accusing her of hijacking the moment for clicks. But here's the thing. This wasn't some random gossip blogger stirring the pot.
And I think, notwithstanding the fact that they can lawyer up with very powerful PR people and lawyers and so on, we have to be very clear-eyed on what looks real and what doesn't and call it out when it isn't.
This was Megyn Kelly, a primetime veteran who treats controversy like jet fuel. And when she sets her sights on someone, it's never half-measured. It's scorched earth. By the time Blake floated down the carpet, draped in diamonds and bravado, the atmosphere had shifted. Photographers still shouted her name, but behind the flashes, you could almost hear the second guessing. Was this really a celebration of influence, or just a high-end costume party propping up crumbling reputations? Sources close to the event whispered that Blake's smile looked tighter, her poses a little stiffer. To the untrained eye, she was poised perfection. But to reporters like us, seasoned in spotting a PR storm brewing just beyond the velvet rope, the cracks were already showing. And the sad truth, the real damage wasn't even from the headlines yet. It was the growing realization that the whole Time 100 mystique, the prestige, the honor, the once mighty symbolism had popped like a cheap balloon. And the mess was about to get even uglier. Once upon a time, the Time 100 list was a sacred club.
What do you think of Hugh Jackman and Taylor Swift being dragged into this? Do you think it's unfair or?
Well, look, either Taylor Swift is her dragon or she isn't. I don't know. That's what Blake Lively says, so I guess I'll have to take her at her word, even though I really shouldn't. So if I were Taylor, I'd speak out about it. Obviously, she's reportedly distanced herself from Blake Lively.
World leaders, Nobel Prize winners, revolutionary thinkers, being named wasn't just a headline, it was history. But let's be real. Today, that shimmering reputation has frayed at the edges, and behind the scenes, insiders are whispering that it's not influence that gets you in. It's influence you can sell. The shift started years ago when billionaire Mark Benioff, the Salesforce titan, quietly bought Time magazine as a personal asset. Not part of his company, but tucked away like a shiny collector's toy. Since then, transparency plummeted and the old-school journalistic standards, let's just say they're hanging on by a thread. And this year's gala only made the cracks wider. Kelly's brutal takedown didn't just call out Blake Lively, it called out the whole system.
Taylor Swift deciding not to comment really at all publicly about this shows that she's keeping her distance.
When asked why Blake made the cut, Time's CEO gave a polished, robotic answer. She's having a great year. That's it. No mention of groundbreaking work, no world-changing projects, just a good year. Meanwhile, whispers swirled like wildfire. Gala insiders leaked that corporate sponsors were paying six figures for the right to sit near honorees. Tables sold like luxury real estate. The closer to the stars, the higher the price. It didn't matter if you cured a disease or just had a killer PR agent. If your brand could help the magazine's visibility, you were golden. In that context, Blake's inclusion looked less like a reward for influence and more like an algorithmic boost, a strategic piece of clickable eye candy for Time's online machine. One more beautiful face to draw traffic. One more marquee name to juice sponsorship dollars. And guests noticed, even the ones sipping champagne and nodding politely. Behind the chandeliers and photo ops, there were murmurs about reform, about restoring the honor that once made a Time 100 mention legendary. But the real tension wasn't about the list itself.
This isn't my night. This is a night for all the women who we made this movie for. I think it was really important that we don't shy away from the issue. We really wanted to honor survivors.
It was about Blake, and what her very presence at a time like this said about the blurred line between prestige and PR damage control. Because while she was posing for the cameras, what most people didn't realize was that Blake Lively wasn't just fighting for another headline. She was fighting to outrun a legal nightmare gaining speed just outside the gala's velvet ropes. And trust me, this wasn't some petty tabloid squabble. This red carpet was about to turn into an evidence trail straight to a courtroom door. Let's rewind to late 2024. On paper, It Ends With Us looked like a guaranteed hit. A best-selling book, an emotional storyline, and two fan-favorite names, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Every teaser photo, every trailer drop had fans buzzing. Blake and Justin shoulder to shoulder at press junkets, flashing smiles that looked a little too polished. But behind the forced chemistry, something darker was brewing. Midway through production, whispers started leaking out.
So for those of you who missed it, she was included in Time 100's most influential people in the world. I don't really know how she made it in, but sure, go for it.
First, it was subtle. Murmurs about uncomfortable energy on set, late-night calls that crossed professional lines. Then, more serious claims trickled into gossip blogs. Blake reportedly felt unsafe. Confidential studio memos, buried deep inside Sony's walls, hinted at concerns about inappropriate behavior, though they stopped short of naming names or specifics. The internet, hungry for drama, filled in the blanks. Paparazzi photos showed Blake leaving her trailer in tears. Rumors of heated arguments on set swirled. Celebrity blogs didn't wait for confirmation. They ran with it, framing Justin Baldoni as Hollywood's next big scandal in waiting. And in today's climate, once that seed is planted, it grows fast and ugly.
She does this little speech and she's next to her mom. She's talking about her mom survived this horrible female-related trauma.
Baldoni didn't roll over. Instead, he lawyered up with Brian Friedman, a legal pit bull with a reputation for dismantling smear campaigns. In a bold move, Baldoni publicly denied the allegations, branding the entire narrative a fabrication designed to weaponize the court of public opinion. And suddenly, the internet split down the middle. One side stood firmly behind Blake, championing her bravery, warning that no woman should ever be doubted. The other side threw their weight behind Baldoni, arguing that career assassination without evidence was becoming Hollywood's newest blood sport. Inside studio boardrooms, the panic was palpable. Executives quietly ordered social media monitoring. Brand partners started backing away from marketing deals, afraid to be caught in the splash zone. The real truth? No one knew what to believe yet. Because the real bombshells hadn't even dropped. Not until private emails, messages that were never meant to see the light of day, started leaking into the public domain. Emails that would rip the pretty, polished PR story to shreds. And those leaks didn't just hint at drama.
Ryan, I'm so upset. You said that if we sued Justin Baldoni, it would be okay. And he's like, well, why were you such a incompetent bitch on your press tour talking about florals and bring your girls? And she's like, but Ryan, your marketing company did that. That wasn't my idea.
They pointed straight towards something much bigger, something legally explosive. A lawsuit was coming. A lawsuit so massive it wouldn't just threaten reputations, it could bury them. By January 2025, Justin Baldoni wasn't playing defense anymore. He was swinging for the fences. His legal team filed a countersuit demanding a jaw-dropping $400 million in damages. And the accusations inside, they were bigger than anyone expected. According to the suit, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, PR powerhouse Leslie Sloan, and former publicist Stephanie Jones allegedly conspired to orchestrate a full-scale smear campaign. The strategy? Create a fake shell company, Van Zandt Incorporated, issue bogus subpoenas, hack into Baldoni's private cloud, cherry-pick texts and emails, and leak them to paint him as a predator. Worse yet, Baldoni's lawyers alleged the subpoenas were completely fabricated, with doctored case numbers, a move that edged dangerously into criminal territory. Legal experts immediately sounded the alarm. This wasn't just defamation, this smelled like fraud. Discovery was fast-tracked, and when depositions began, the story only got weirder. Psychic readings, password hacking, a secret group chat called Project Titan, mocking both the time honor and referencing the infamous OceanGate tragedy. Hollywood's seen plenty of scandals, but tech crimes, fortune tellers, and forged evidence?
While Blake brought the emotion last night, Ryan stepped into supportive husband mode. Page 6 caught the actor giving what looked like a pre-speech pep talk and a quick kiss. On the carpet, he picked up train on her pink strapless gown and joked about her Time 100 honor.
Ryan, I'm 101.
This was something else entirely. And just when it seemed the circus couldn't get crazier, a judge cracked open the sealed files. What spilled out would turn a messy PR crisis into a full-blown Hollywood horror show. Stephanie Jones's deposition sounded less like a court case and more like the plot of a Netflix thriller. Under oath, she admitted hiring an intuitive consultant, a so-called psychic, who claimed to have visions of Baldoni's sins, gambling problems, secret affairs, and substance abuse spirals. Jones allegedly took those visions and used them as pressure tactics, nudging ex-assistants to confirm misconduct that may have never even existed. But it didn't stop at psychic games. Forensic experts soon traced suspicious 3 a.m. logins into Baldoni's private iCloud account, timed almost exactly with encrypted message exchanges between Jones and Blake Lively's legal liaison. The complaint didn't mince words. It screamed violation of the Federal Wiretap Act. What started as a messy PR feud was now skidding dangerously close to criminal territory. Then came the detail that shocked even seasoned Hollywood reporters. Screenshots revealed Jones predicting, out loud in front of staff,
Blake Lively is speaking out. The Another Simple Favor star reflected on the power of women's voices in a passionate speech for the Time 100 Gala in New York City on April 24th.
That Baldoni's wife, Emily, would miscarry twins as cosmic payback. It was cruelty so vile, even TMZ called it beyond the pale. Once news broke that psychics and hacked accounts were allegedly fueling the narrative against Baldoni, the internet exploded. Some called it Hollywood's final shark jump moment. Others wondered why law enforcement wasn't already knocking on doors. Blake's PR team tried to distance her, issuing denials. But the digital paper trail, it was painting a far messier picture. And when Blake took the stage at the Time 100 Gala to deliver a tear-streaked survivor speech, insiders couldn't help but wonder, was this heartfelt or just a desperate pivot before the legal tidal wave hit? Because once that speech ended, the whole room shifted, and not in Blake's favor. Under the glittering chandeliers, Blake Lively took a gamble. Instead of a safe, polished thank you speech, she shared a raw story. Her mother's assault decades ago by a trusted colleague. Her voice cracked. She warned little girls might never be safe in any space they inhabit. Tears shimmered. Applause followed, polite, but hesitant. The subtext wasn't hard to catch. Blake didn't name Justin Baldoni, but her timing made the connection for her.
It's like, you told me that this lawsuit was gonna work, but it's not working. So, I have an idea. We have this amazing opportunity at Time 100. Why don't I bring my mom and I'll convince her?
She wasn't just accepting an award. She was reframing her image as a survivor fighting a bigger battle. Critics online immediately pounced, calling it a desperation play designed to smother the growing scandal. Meanwhile, sharp-eyed reporters noticed something even more telling. Ryan Reynolds, stiff-faced, guiding Blake through the press line like a man walking a PR tightrope. The photos fueled fresh breakup rumors before the night was even over. And yet, the loudest warning sign wasn't the awkward applause or the tight smiles. It was the sudden silence from one of Blake's biggest, most famous allies. A silence that said far more than her speech ever could. In Hollywood, silence speaks volumes. And when Taylor Swift, Blake's longtime bestie and her daughter's godmother, stayed silent, no posts, no shoutouts, no subtle lyric hints, everyone knew. Swift was keeping her distance. Behind the scenes, entertainment insiders weren't shocked. Swift's empire depends on staying scandal-free, and Blake's legal mess was quickly becoming a PR nightmare. Even Netflix reportedly hit pause on a Blake-led project, putting it under deeper review. Meanwhile, Forbes stirred the pot with a sharp question. Could false claim scandals undo the trust rebuilt by the Me Too movement? Progressive columnists who once backed Blake now hesitated. Things only got worse when old footage surfaced.
So Blake delivered the speech. We covered it on the Morning Rush. But look at this headline. Blake Lively delivers speech about abuse. Now, the abuse she spoke about was her mom's abuse at Time 100 Gala, alluding to Justin Baldoni legal battle.
Blake in 2019, casually admitting she was privileged enough never to fear for her safety. Stack that against her tearful doomsday speech at Time 100, and the contradictions were impossible to ignore. As the public picked apart her story, Megyn Kelly fanned the flames, challenging George Clooney to a live debate after he mocked her reporting. Clooney brushed it off with a laugh, but the viral clip only fueled the fire. Still, none of that was the real danger, because while the headlines raged, the real storm was gathering in the one place Blake couldn't control: the courtroom. March 3rd, 2026. That's the date everything changes. Judge Pilar Montoya has set pre-trial hearings, and both sides are racing toward impact. If Baldoni wins, Blake could lose more than just millions. Her entire brand and career could collapse. If Blake flips the narrative, Megyn Kelly's takedown will backfire, and Ryan Reynolds might spin it into a comeback story. Meanwhile, subpoenas keep landing. Federal investigators are now digging into potential password hacking across state lines, hinting at criminal charges down the road. And one question still haunts the whole circus. Why did Time magazine crown Blake a titan at all? Was it about influence? Or just who could make the most noise? Because now, with the flashbulbs gone and the PR game stripped away, there's only one thing left: the truth. And it's coming, whether Hollywood's ready or not. The gowns are back with stylists, the flowers have wilted, and the Time 100 hashtag is already buried under fresher scandals. But the subpoenas haven't stopped. Hard drives are still under forensic review, reputations are dangling like glass chandeliers, one good shake away from shattering. Blake Lively came to the gala chasing another golden headline. Instead, she walked out as a centerpiece in a legal saga that could define her career. Megyn Kelly came armed with sharp words, and somehow left as both hero and villain, depending who you ask. And Justin Baldoni, once sidelined, now holds a potential 9-figure counterattack. Because influence, it's not a list. It's what survives after the cameras are packed up, when discovery documents start leaking, and the real receipts surface. Blake's next Instagram post might still pull millions of likes. But the real spotlight? It's sitting in a cold, fluorescent-lit courtroom where no red carpet can save her. The verdict may be years away, but public trust is already delivering its own silent judgment. And this story? It's far from over.